Hey everyone. You may notice that the overlay looks different, and that's because it's going to for this entire episode. Because for whatever reason, when Johnny and I recorded this episode of Idle Insights, it just decided it was going to record in active speaker only mode. So that's what we are dealing with right now, and that's what we're going to do. But it's still a good episode. It's just going to look a little different than our normal one. But I wanted to put this in ahead of time and let you know that that's how it is. And so I guess, hey, look, it's the earliest I have said we're pre-recorded, so it's a pre-recorded episode. This is pre-recorded. I'm in the future of that Trevor, but I'm still in your past. So you know, the time's weird. Anywho, enjoy the episode. What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions and Dungeons and Dragons. And joining me this week is the incredible Johnny Chiodini. Hello!
Hello, it's very nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for returning. I was very much looking forward to getting to talk to you again, and now it's here.
Feels like no time's passed at all, and yet also hundreds of years.
Oh my God. That is genuinely how I feel with almost every returning guest, where I'm just like, oh, it's like we just talked. That was a year ago?
Wild, isn't it?
Yeah. Time doesn't exist anymore. That the 2020 just took that concept and yeah. But Johnny, if folks don't know who you are in the chat, is somehow they don't know the incredible legend that is you. Who are you for those fine folks who may not know?
Well, I would say most relevantly, I am the dungeon master for the Ox Venture, which is we got founded in 2017, so
Oh,
7 long years now of playing D&D together with the fine folks from Outside Extra and Outside Xbox, two lovely video game focused YouTube channels. I myself have been in the video game space for 15 years now,
oh
making
wow.
stuff on YouTube. So I have my own channel. It's youtube.com/Johnny Chiodini. I stream video games on there. I do Let's Play series, and my audience choose what game I play next. It's a whole lot of fun.
Actually, real quickly, and I meant to tell you this before the show, but you know what, people, you're gonna hear it too. Oh yeah, by the way, this is pre-recorded. I'm trying to get better about saying that at the beginning of the episode. This is pre-recorded. My wife wanted me to tell you specifically. She tells me last night, she's like, by the way, when you talk to Johnny, tell them that the Stardew Valley challenge that they did a while ago is just how I play the game. She's like, I just don't talk to anyone. I don't want to do that.
Perfect. Incredible. Yeah, it's ideal. Like I don't want to meet people in Stardew Valley. Like,
why am I playing a video game if I have to meet people?
Right? Like my save file on my Switch, I'm into year 3, and there's still someone in town I've just never met. I don't know who they are. At this point, I'm not going to find out. I'm not going to go looking for them.
I never, like, I've played that game and I never like really remembered everyone, so to the point that like she'll watch some videos and people will have mods on, and I'm just like, oh, I should go meet that person. She's like, no, that's a modded person. I'm like, oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Johnny, I like to start things off here with a fun little icebreaker question before we get into the topics. Tell me about your first D&D character.
So my first D&D character, um, this is genuinely quite difficult because when I started running D&D for the Ox Venture, I had run D&D 3 times and never played it. I played a bunch of other RPGs. Yeah, so I ran so much D&D, and now trying to think in terms of, I think it was a dwarf, and I think they might have been. Yeah. Oh no, I remember now. Okay. My first ever time playing D&D was on a live show for Questing Time, which is if you haven't heard of Paul Foxcroft, he's an incredible improv comedian and DM, and is a genuine force of nature. We've known each other for a disgustingly long time. And he asked me to be on this show, which is just, I mean, if you think Ox Venture is off the wall, like you haven't seen Questing Time, it's absolutely wild. But I was a dwarven cleric called Good Nice Dwarf.
I hope he was a jerk.
He was fairly ineffectual in every single walk of life. So I played him for like one evening, one session, And then my first ever like character that I played more than once, I was actually Rust on the Harbour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so as a player, I have very little D&D under my belt compared to the amount of time I've spent. I mean, you know the struggle, like being a forever DM.
Yep.
Uh, there are more hours I've spent D&D than I've probably had hot dinners. Um, and yeah, but pretty much I would say 98% of my time spent actually playing Dungeons and Dragons has been spent as Rust on the Harbour, the charming himbo tabaxi rogue who you can get in Idle Champions.
Hey, I mean
Boom.
that's a great segue because yeah, we got Rust that had a rework recently,
Mm.
and so some of the mechanics got switched around for good old Rust on the Harbor. Why don't you tell folks that's a great segue into who is Rust on the Harbor besides the wonderful himbo?
So, Rust on the Harbour was a player character from an online game I uh, joined with my friends during lockdown, during the COVID-19 pandemic. I was joining late to this group. They'd already been going for quite a few weeks. It was a Saltmarsh campaign. They were ambitious pirates. And I
Mm,
asked, "What class do you not have?" And he said, "Oh, we don't have a rogue." And I said, "Sure, I'll be a rogue." And I just really wanted to be a tabaxi. I thought that would just be
heck yeah.
fun. And then I kind of I needed a hook. And so the two things I went with were French accent and he does not understand money. Because I just thought it would be very funny in this world where everyone will like slit a throat for, a few pieces of eight or whatever,
Hmm.
to have a character who just fundamentally doesn't understand how money works.
The
So
concept.
exactly. He's a sellsword. And sort of when he first met the party, he was like, "You could not afford me." And they were like, "Well, go on, name your price." He said, "I want one gold piece." And people always found that really weird because why is this guy just after one gold piece? And the I've like because I introduced him as an NPC in Oxventure later on, I've had the joy of springing this on two different parties now, where they've gone, "Wouldn't you like maybe like two gold pieces?" And he just goes, "I don't understand." He cannot think of a piece. He cannot think of a sum of money greater than one gold piece. So when he has a gold piece, he is complete. If he sees a second one, he shuts down. Um, and I
Does
just
not compute 404.
Exactly. So I combined that with like a pure assassin path rogue and just went for it. And then I introduced him to the Oxventure. I deliberately I was like, I want a rogue in there. And I knew that Corazon de Baena, who is obviously another champion that you
Hmm.
can get in Idle Champions, he is his character is he's very sort of insecure and he's all about status. So I knew that if I introduced a rogue, he would puff up and he'd be like, "I'm the
Hmm.
rogue around here." So I was like, okay, this rogue needs to be the most likable, inoffensive thing I can think up. And I went, oh, I've got something for this. So that's when Rust on the Harbour kind of broke out of this Saltmarsh campaign and joined the Oxventure. And then it was not too long after that that the Oxventurers started getting put into Idle Champions, and I
Hmm.
was given the opportunity to pick an NPC and fling him in, and there was really only
Yeah.
one candidate, which at the time felt a little bit nerve-wracking because this is a game about collecting like mathematically improbable sums of money and doing mathematically improbable amounts of damage. And
Yes.
so I came to the meeting, or with all these talented designers and really passionate people. And I was like, listen, just hear me out. And you know what? They didn't even blink. It
No.
was like glorious. It was so exciting to watch a team of people just take the concept, completely understand it, and run with it. Obviously the team sort of checked in with kind of everything, like
Yeah.
about um sort of mechanics and animations and the look of Rust and like not I don't think I have had to push back on anything like
Mm.
ever. Which is it's been such a treat and it's like it was just really nice to see kind of like the the silliness of Rust kind of catch on
Hmm.
a little way. And then of course there was the actual play series,
Yeah.
Fury of the Black Rose, run by Bido Walters, who is, frankly incredible. And like I'd never played high level D&D before.
Oh, really?
So I started out suddenly Rust on the Harbour is level 15 rogue. And he is doing obscene amounts of damage and just still not understanding money.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, B Dave loves running high level D&D, and also, there were some pretty huge stakes in play. And Kryn
That
is
is
an
the other thing B Dave loves
unforgiving
playing
world.
with.
Exactly. And the first episode, I was like, wow, this is a really intense game. And I am trapped inside the body of a French cat man. So the first couple of episodes, I was like, I am ruining this for everyone.
Oh,
I'm
not at
bringing just
all.
the wrong tone. But you know what? I was very proud of the fact that by the end, I had managed to pull Rust into a much more sort of like serious worldview. But I
Mm.
had also managed to sort of magnetically divert the course of Fury of the Black Rose to be just that little bit more ridiculous. And I felt like I'd done my job,
Honestly,
basically.
I feel like that's B Dave's like ideal D&D game if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never. Oh no, so I'd never played D&D with him before. I
Mm.
played I think I played the Witcher RPG with him once for like a
Oh,
charity thing.
he, he
Um,
he's just all over the place.
he's absolutely tremendous, but so I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. And then when he bust out the voice for the mighty Xanathar, who sounds identical to Cartman from South Park, I was like, oh, okay. At no point do I know where any of this is going.
Yeah,
And
no, he. If there's one thing B Dave loves in this world, it's springing that voice on unsuspecting people.
it's
Uh,
just, you just don't expect to
no,
hear it come from
no.
him because I mean he's masterful when he's doing all of these like deep like growling tones, and he can be so like honey-toned and sweet, and then suddenly it just like pours out of him. It was the cognitive dissonance was extreme. That whole campaign felt like a fever dream anyway. And then,
I
and then we meet the mighty Xanathar.
Yep. I got to write a story for Idle Champions recently that had the Xanathar in it,
Mhm.
and one of my bosses read it, and the feedback they had for that scene was I couldn't not read this in B Dave's voice. I went, that's the best compliment I could have gotten.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you know you've hit the nail on the head there.
So, like, bringing Rust into Oxventure, and
Mm.
I the reasoning and stuff that I really love, because it's a character that perfectly fits the situation and everything like that. Was there anything that you had to change about Rust bringing him into Oxventure?
Um, I mean, Oxventure is more or less a family-friendly show. When I am
More or
not,
less.
yeah,
There's only a
um,
few burned or
smushed
killed
orphans.
orphanages. Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah. I mean, my greatest triumph and most horrible crime, I think. But I, I in real life curse like a sailor.
Mm,
Rust was a literal sailor. He was, a pirate. So, I mean,
yeah.
I had moved him on from his like seafaring days, so he was just a sellsword on land because he was also hydrophobic, which wasn't great for a salt marsh campaign.
But so great for a tabaxi.
Yeah, and I mean that's where his ult comes from. Is that I would get people to fire me onto other ships because I wouldn't swim. So yeah, he would happily get in a cannon and just be like, "Wee!" But getting in the water was a big no-no. But yeah, no, I reined in the swearing, and to be honest with you, that is about it. I
Yeah,
just picked him up and dropped him straight in there.
I love
I just
that.
let him do his thing, like put the cat among the pigeons, very literally.
I do I love that as a from a DM perspective, because there's this kind of toolboxiness with DMing that
Mm,
I always enjoy talking with people about, because players will always have characters, and they're like, oh yeah, I've taken this character through so many different campaigns. I had this character since I was 12 and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I always love the the DM side of that, like an NPC that did start off as a player character and they brought in as an NPC for their games, or just an NPC that they've had pop up throughout their different
Hmm.
campaigns in different ways and stuff like that. It's like that personal thing for the DM side of it, and I love that.
Yeah, like it's fun to do. It's personally satisfying.
Hmm.
Like it didn't really matter that it was a player character, but it mattered to me.
Yeah.
But also the sheer familiarity. You know, like when you've played a character for long enough, starting to play them, it's like stepping into like it's like putting on a really well-worn in pair of boots.
Yeah.
Like you can think as that character, you can act as that character without having to stop and go,
Hmm.
what would they do in this situation? You just know. And so I think when you are then a DM and you're giving off this NPC that for all they know has been, created on the back of a napkin 10 minutes ago, it lends a sense of sort of authority and confidence to it.
Yeah.
It gives like I really think it makes the character seem more authentic,
Yeah.
which is why I think especially because I put him in there knowing that Corazon would be like, who's this jerk? And I was able to disarm that attitude so quickly by just being lovely because I wasn't rattled by him
Hmm.
being questioned because I was so used to just being Rust, who is unflappable to a
Yeah.
like to a fault,
Yeah.
like by design, basically.
You can always tell that, like, too, with a DM is yeah, like when they've had a character for so long, there's never that point where it's like where you see them think for a moment about what to say next. It's just that flow. It's
Yeah,
just that, like, they're able to improvise so much better with it.
yeah.
Um, it's really neat to see.
Mm.
But yeah, the when I got put onto the writing for Idle Champions, they told me, like, oh, we want you to feel like you're the DM for the game, and I went, all right. So, like, the second adventure that I wrote, I put one of my my NPCs that I always have in the game, and I'm like,
Yeah,
now they've got artwork.
great. That's perfect. Like, I love that because it's, you're putting a piece of yourself in there.
Yeah.
Even if it's a character, you've thought up for a fantastical game. And that, that person could be like diametrically opposite to who you are in real life. It's still your creation. It's still something you've put in there.
Hmm.
And I know that when you're DMing, obviously you're spinning this whole world out for people as kind of a narrator and a referee all at once. But it's like, like, when someone has like a dish that they like love making and they're
Hmm.
like, you haven't tried my fish pie or whatever.
Yeah.
It's that extra level of like, oh no, but this,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
yeah, I like it.
Well, there was a thing you said a little bit ago about, like, it was just for you, and I
Mm.
feel like that is such an important aspect for DMs that,
Hmm.
like not a lot of people talk about when they're talking about advice for DMs. It's like, no, there should be some stuff you do that is just purely for your enjoyment, where
Yeah.
you put a little thing in there, you put a little joke in there. I've straight up told my players where, like, something showed up, I went, this is just for me, by the way. Like, I know, I know you guys are, like, just cool with this. I'm loving that this is happening.
Yeah. By the way, you have no idea how great this is. Yeah,
Oh, if only you knew how awesome.
it's so freeing. My
It really
goodness.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So
I've
wait,
been doing. Oh,
oh,
sorry, carry on.
no, you go.
I was going to say I've been doing an obscene amount of prep work and world building in the minute because we have at the time of recording this, we've recorded half of the first season of the brand new setting for Oxventure. So
Oh.
new world, new characters. It is entirely homebrew.
Oh,
And
wow.
they basically gave me license to just go bananas and do whatever I wanted. And what I
Oh
wanted
my
to do was
gosh.
English folk horror. Um, so it's wild, but it means that I'm putting in so much stuff. And the secret is it's all for me.
Yeah.
There are so many things in there where I'm like, that's in there because I want it to be. That's in there because I like it. It's
I
just
love it.
nice. It's good.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta break in. I'm screw the questions now. I gotta break in because you brought up world building. So, what is your process like for world building? You know, Ox Ventures, like, we want to do new setting and stuff like that. It's all you. Like, where do you start?
So, in many ways, this was my first time truly world building in advance for
Oh.
D&D because the Oxventure was going to be a one-off. It was just a one
Mm-hmm.
shot. that somehow snowballed into this thing that's still going the better part of a decade later. So Geth, the world in which Oxventure sort of exists, was just made up on the fly. I did
Mm.
not write anything down. And I developed this habit, which was somebody would make a joke, like a silly joke. The best example is they were talking about a Spelljammer ship, and they were talking about how they should fly it off into space, and they were like, "Oh, we should wait until nighttime because that's when space comes down." And we made a joke that yeah, at night there's no atmosphere in Geth because space comes down, and that's the time you want to go to space. But also, if you don't have your personal rebreather, you're in for a bad time if you're outside. And I saw comments being like, "That's so silly. They won't make that canon." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, you're on." So like, there's things like that. Like Geth is flat. Geth has
Yeah.
two suns. The space comes down at night to cover Geth. Like things that I just had this. I took yes and to extremes.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I'm playing it a lot more straight down the line, a lot more
Okay.
serious. I mean, I'm aiming for folk horror. They're aiming for the same level of nonsense.
Yeah.
And we're just smashing those two concepts together and seeing what falls out of it.
You're taking
But
Monty Python the Holy Grail and putting it with the universal horror monsters.
yeah, pretty much that. But my process was basically I have a dog. She's very sweet. I walk her for about 2 hours a day. And there is a woods not too far from my house where I walk her. So basically, my whole process was I would spend 2 hours a day in the wood talking to myself and just sort of imagining weird things in a forest. And then that sort of snowballed into a few core rules I had for the setting and sort of a key premise. And then it just went and went and went, and I started typing and I built a map, and it's
Oh, you got a
it's
map and everything.
yeah, I
Ah.
did the rice method. It was so much fun.
Ah,
I'd
yes.
never done it before, but it's now snowballed to the point where I've got thousands upon thousands of words written down. I think I've already done more prep for this setting than I did for like the last 3 seasons of Oxventure combined.
Oh my gosh.
I cannot overemphasize how much I was winging it for all of Oxventure, the Oxventurers Guild. But our new setting, we've revealed the title. It's called Weirdwood, Wyrd.
Of course, of course.
Um, and it's gonna be pretty intense. But yeah, it's been really fun to just absolutely throw myself into a weird, horrible daydream based around kind of the folklore of the
Yeah.
place I grew up in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for that. That is my vibe for things.
Great.
I love me some horror. I love me some folklore. Oh my gosh. So like do you have I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty on this because
Sure.
this is the stuff that I crave.
Uh-huh.
Like do you have like just one tech stock that you got this in? Is it multiple tech stock? You got a special program for it?
It is currently it's a folder on Google Docs,
Okay.
but it's kind of like it's like a wiki that I'm building almost where like anything is
Okay.
mentioned, it links to the other Google Docs.
Oh
I would
yes.
say it's already over 100 documents. It
That's
is
so cool.
so much because I want things written down
Yeah.
this time so I can keep up with it because sort of by the end of the Oxventurers Guild, I'm trying to remember 7 years of lore. And I
Mm-hmm.
haven't rewatched the show. I mean, we're so lucky that we've got viewers who have gone back through it 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
which to me is mind-boggling.
Oh yeah.
But it also means they know it so much better than we do.
I
So,
know.
like, there was one point, there was a fish that was living in Dob, the half-orc bard's lung,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently at some point that fish died. I don't remember that, but I mentioned the fish at one point because like Dob inhaled a knife, and I was like, the fish that lives in your lung, now it's got a knife. And people in the comments were like, "Didn't that fish die?" And I was like, "Did it?" And
Well, it's alive
yeah,
again.
they were right. I was like, "Well, I guess I guess it's alive again." And it just kind of the longer it went on, the more aware I was that I was steering like an oil tanker that I was forgetting how to, to drive.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the fact that I said drive instead of, I guess, sail is again an indicator that I was not equipped to be at the helm anymore.
Yeah, that's
I kind of, I like, it was almost like, I mean, we wound down the Oxford Adventurers Guild because 7 years with the same characters and 7 years, given that these were everyone's first D&D characters,
Yeah.
is a long time. And I think we told a lot of stories, but we were sort of, I think, running out of meaningful arcs, and we had a really lovely opportunity to tie things up neatly
Hmm.
and sort of send them off into the sunset with like the appropriate fanfare. But I also feel like it was becoming increasingly apparent that I needed to be like, before I hurt myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
we needed to wind it down.
I,
So,
I I can't imagine that with a D&D game of having people having that sort of knowledge. Because like, like I have a podcast and people tell me like, oh, I've listened to it through 3 times.
right.
And I'm like, that's wild. And they're like, you said this in episode 20. I'm like, I did? Sure. Like I
Yeah.
have no memory of recording that.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. Sometimes people will make references like in like chat or something while I'm streaming, and I'll be like, "What is that?" And they're like, "It's an Oxventure joke. It's the thing. You said this. It's yeah, I mean, it's humbling and it's
Yeah.
wonderful and it's flattering, but it's yeah, it was also it was a lot. So this
Yeah.
time I'm writing things down.
Ah, yes, yeah. But oh man, the hyperlinks though, that's such that's it's so weird because I'm like, I'm world building and stuff right now for another project, and like
Right.
now I'm just like, oh, I should do hyperlinks. Oh, I love organization like that.
It is satisfying because like even if you don't fill out that doc,
Hmm.
making the hyperlink, opening that doc and titling it,
Yeah.
it's a reminder to go back and fill in that bit. So,
Yeah.
there are different NPCs that I haven't fully statted up yet, because I'm waiting for the new player's handbook to drop really
Yeah.
before I want to like set that in stone. But I'm making the framework for it. Just so it's cohesive.
Yeah. Are you doing any like homebrew rules or anything for it?
I
You don't
can't
have to say what
I
they are if you don't want to, but
Yes,
okay.
yes. There is a homebrew mechanic in there that affects the whole party, and in fact
Ooh.
everyone in the world. And two of the characters have their own homebrew things going on that the players came up with. I
Ooh.
can't say any more than that, but they
Yeah.
are exciting.
Oh, I
So
cannot wait for that.
it's there when both of them like got pitched to me, I was like, yes, yeah, that, please
Yeah.
do it. Like, good luck, but do it. It's nice.
That's so good. Well, and I mean, like, that's so good of having like players like being that invested already
Yeah.
in the story and stuff before it's even gotten going. Love it.
Yeah. Well, we're in a privileged position, I think, because, we've been working together for such a long time and we've all known each other for coming up on like 2 decades. We
Hmm.
all go way, way back. So we know that the chemistry is there. We don't have to worry about that bit too much. So then we can just double down on, the sort of interesting character ideas, but also what's really gratifying this time around is that everyone has come at their character emotional arc first. They're like, this is who my
Mm,
character is. This is who they want to be. These are the
yes.
obstacles in the way of that happening. And it was so gratifying to hear all that stuff and be like, I think we're cooking with something pretty good here. So I can't wait for people to see it. I'm terrified, obviously, but it's also excited.
Oh, I cannot wait for this. This is I love seeing y'all play D&D together because again, you have that chemistry. You can tell that you all are a bunch of friends playing D&D. And I cannot wait to just see you all playing in this, gothic folklore horror kind of thing. That's going to be really good.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it, like I say.
I did want to take a step back though and talk about the final season of Ox Ventures because, like you said,
Yeah,
you had the opportunity to wrap this up. How was doing that final season?
it was really quite scary, because we had 6 episodes
Mm.
to land the whole thing. And there were so many like story elements that we needed to tie up. We also needed like an emotionally satisfying conclusion. And we also had this big bad, Liliana, who had been around for years and years and years to the point where I was worried that she'd sort of lost her sense of menace.
Oh,
and that
okay.
she was just sort of like the like a drone, like a background noise that was kind of
Yeah.
annoying.
Just Venger
So
in the background on the horrors.
yeah, exactly. So like finding a way of kind of showcasing her character more and making the stakes feel real was really scary, but like sort of um a lot of thought went into the different arcs, and I kind of tried to give each character like their own moment. But the filming of it was we took over an art center, which is like a lovely like proper like professional stage and
Yeah.
everything. Um, we took it over for 3 days, so we filmed for 3 days back to back. Was it
Wow.
3 days? Yeah, it was. It was 3 days back to back. This place was like nearly 2 hours from my house, so I was like, I can't do that much traveling back and
Yeah.
forth for 3 days. So I stayed in a budget hotel around the corner.
Wow.
So I basically just lived in Oxventure for 3 days because when I wasn't running it, I was sort of going back over my notes, reworking things, replanning
Yeah.
things. I rewrote one of the episodes like the night before. Um, and it was
Whoa.
it was so nerve-wracking. And you know what? I came out of it exhausted, but I felt like we had done a good job. And
That's fantastic.
what I didn't expect was the emotional release afterwards. I mean, the minute we closed it, I was like, that's it. That's the end of our story. I started crying, which, I'm in touch with my emotions. It's not
Yeah.
that uncommon, but I
No,
didn't
hey,
expect
hey.
to like cry that soon.
Yeah.
Um, and then just the kind of the realization that it was over, it was bittersweet. I'm not going to lie, there was a good sense of relief in there because A, I felt like we'd done it justice, but B, kind of like I said, like I didn't have to carry all of this lore around anymore. I felt like
Mm.
I basically I felt like I could do no more harm to something that people had come to cherish. Because like the whole death of the author thing, like I mean, Roland Barthes was not talking about YouTube actual play, but I like to think somewhere in
What
the
if
back
he
of his
was?
mind, yeah, exactly. Um, the Oxventure is as much our viewers as it is ours, right?
Hmm.
Like in it, they invested so much in it that at points it almost felt like we were doing something in collaboration with people. And so I was relieved to be able to put it down and go that will do
Yeah.
basically. And then just start jettisoning lore. Sort of like just pulled the bung out of the bottom of my skull. I was like, bye bye. I, I
No
still
longer
get
needed. Oh,
exactly. I still
I
get
can remember
lovely
long
questions and
division
stuff.
again.
Oh, I never learned long division to begin with. Are you kidding me? I was so bad at it. But it's lovely. I still get people asking me very, very specific questions
Oh, I'm
about
sure.
Oxventure. And increasingly, I have to just be like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's possible I never knew, you know? And I'm sorry if that's not the answer you want, but that is God's honest truth.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, so like, what was the? You talked a little bit about the prep there for it. Like,
Mm.
did you find that prepping for this season, and obviously because like it was 3 days of filming and stuff, but did you find
Yeah.
that prepping for this season was vastly different than the other ones, or was it about the same?
For the final season.
Yeah.
It was vastly different because I wrote so much more stuff down. Um, I I like I love thinking on the fly,
Mm,
and Geth was such a uniquely silly thing that I kind of knew a lot of the time that if lore needed to be given out, we may as well come up with it on the fly because what came out was probably funnier than what I could cook up. Um, but with this one, there were things I was tying together, like there was this whole quest to find all these crystals, but also there were meaningful parts that tied into people's backstories and things like that. And so I really focused on trying to make those like relevant and also like kind of robust. I guess I tried to minimize the amount of improv I was doing, like or like not world building, sort of like quest generation that I was doing
yeah.
on the fly, so I could focus in more on the minute to minute role playing. Um, because Liliana, minor spoilers, but people have had a while, I guess. Liliana came along for the ride for the last season, which was weird because obviously she'd been this antagonistic force for
Yeah.
so long, but also kind of I never really we never had a really embedded long-term NPC in the Oxventure before. Um, Besides a seal that's obsessed with Scotch eggs, but that's a whole different story. Um, so weird. But kind of what do they call it? Is it like DMPC? Is that what sort of the
Oh,
term
oh
for it?
yeah.
Well, like the DMs, like also just kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
I mostly
I'm
understand
a
this as
player
yeah, I
too.
understand this is a slightly derogatory term, but like walking that tightrope between like trying to give meaningful feedback and build relationships with people as we hurtled towards a potential apocalypse, while also sort of using them in combat, but trying to hide the fact that Liliana was level 20. Oh no, she was level 19.
uh,
None of them knew that until the final episode.
what level were
It,
they at for the finale?
like 10.
Are you-
And they had to fight so hard to get to level 10.
That's so good.
7 years and they leveled up. They leveled up only to level 10. I got this real like reputation as just like a stingy DM, but what it was,
Oh,
it was we were just like we were making a show. We kind of
yeah.
forgot about leveling up half
No,
the time.
I don't knock you for that at all. I like before I did leveling where it's like the last campaign I did for the last section of it, we did the rod of 7 parts. So I was like, okay, when you get a piece of the rod, you level up. So I don't
Right.
have to remember to level you up because before that I would just forget.
Yeah.
It would be like 4 months and they'd be like, are we gonna level ever? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess we could do
We
that.
can. Yeah. Because you think of characters progressing in terms of like the things they learn and the
Yeah,
bonds they build. You
yeah.
forget that you also have to mechanically push a button.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like my players felt like the the person playing an RPG and they've had the level up arrow on their portrait for like the entirety of the game. I wonder what that's about.
I've been there, believe me.
Oh God, yeah. But yeah, no, the reason I was asking about that is because like I do feel that endings for games are such an important thing. Like they're almost as important as the game happening themselves because it's important for the group to stay together, but stories need endings and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I do feel that it is cathartic, not just for being able to pop that cork and get rid of all that lore, but also just kind of as a cathartic thing where like it's not this never-ending thing. It's not the TV show that's been on for 30 years and you're like, well, it's just always gonna be there.
Yeah.
It's like The Simpsons. It's like, it's always gonna be there. We don't got to worry
Yeah.
about it. Having that ending is really nice, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you all got to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was I mean, I've said it time and time again. None of us knew when we were starting out
Yeah.
how far the Oxventure would go. Um, and like I kind of got vertigo going into the final season, just being
Mm.
like, wow, like when did this happen? Like
Hmm.
we've been through so much, as a party and also as a group of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was lovely, and uh, it's lovely to get the chance to sort of start again, like same but different, and I just hope people like it. Because if not, uh-oh.
I'm gonna be honest, Johnny. From what you've told me today, I don't know how people won't. Like
Okay.
that
Fingers
sounds.
crossed.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely delightful. I will be there day one watching that.
Lovely.
So one of the other things I want to talk to you about is that
Hmm.
y'all have been doing some very interesting games in the interim between these two campaigns.
Yes. Yes, we
Tell me
have.
about some of these games.
So, well, I mean, Luke is dangerously smart.
I like
And
that description of him.
yeah, it's kind of like if you give him too long to come up with ideas, he will there's a certain tone of voice he uses. He's like, okay, and you're like, uh-oh, you
No,
know?
I've been watching Luke's playthrough of Dark Souls on his channel, and I know exactly the tone you're talking about.
Yeah.
Though while he's playing Dark Souls, that's usually when he messes everything up.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, when he came into it and was just like, all right, D&D, but everyone's kobolds. It's like, okay, yeah, or like D&D, but everyone's Pokemon trainers. Which was just wild because like we had such a long conversation about how this was going to work. It was like, okay, so wait, are we playing Pokemon or are we playing Pokemon trainers or are we playing both? And Luke was like, oh no, you're playing trainers. Johnny's not. Johnny's going to be Meowth. Okay, dude. Yeah, sure. And sort of
The role you were born for.
yeah, I played this really washed up Meowth who was like sick of living in the shadow of Jesse and James's Meowth. And like he was divorced and estranged from his kids.
Oh God, I hope you had him sound like Danny DeVito. That just
It was more like you know, like Mrs. LeBon's in Bob's Burgers. Like it was just like meow. Blah, blah, blah. It was wild. It was a really weird fever dream. We've also done kind of other things. Like I ran Worldwide Wrestling, which is just such a Powered by the Apocalypse, such a madcap. Like every session is a TV show.
Yeah.
So like at one point you'll be playing you know, the ring announcer or the commentator. Another point you'll be a wrestler cutting a promo. There's an ad break where you have to ad lib ads.
There's an ad break.
There's an ad break where I made everyone, including myself, just ad lib an advert. None of them were good, but it made for good watching. So yeah, we've played some. We've really gone off the deep end with it, but I think you know, like it's just felt like the right time. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, the flagship thing's kind of like, you know, not on hiatus, but we're resetting, and in the meantime, I guess let's get really weird with it.
Heck yeah.
You know, like
heck yeah. I saw one where you guys had like a scratch off character sheets.
yeah, D&D, but everyone has amnesia. So it was kind of like, it's like, I need you to make me a stealth roll. It's like, okay, well, let's find out if I'm good at that. I'm not, you know, like it was that kind of thing, which was great fun. Thank goodness we found you can just get packets of stickers that you put on.
Oh, really?
Then,
I wondered how you, because I saw the thumbnail. I'm like, where did they do this? How did this happen?
It's plastic. It's basically like a plastic film with the scratch card material over the top.
Okay.
So you sort of laminate a tiny piece of the paper and then do it, which is such a relief because otherwise what we were looking at was I was going to laminate all of the character sheets. The reason I'm not in it is that I planned not to be so I could make the character sheets. But then Luke found these stickers because the plan was if you get like a metallic paint, like I paint, you know, I paint Warhammer. I love painting.
Yeah.
You get like a metallic paint and you mix it with like washing up liquid. You can paint on thin layers of that onto plastic and it becomes a scratch card material. But that was probably going to take me a day. And then I looked on Amazon out of curiosity. I was like, oh, look, this is the solution to all my problems. And I don't have to come to that shoot day. Great. So I just sent Luke an affiliate link and was like,
an affiliate link.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm going to coin it in off Luke Westaway.
Oh, that's so good.
That was wild. We've also got coming up a short campaign of Teens in Space, run by Jasper William Cartwright of you know,
oh hey, I love Jasper.
In Dimension 20 fame. I mean, I wasn't part of the shoot for that. I was benched after playing Meowth. No, I wasn't free that time. But I mean, he's such a talent. That,
yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be great.
I remember the back in the day of our podcast starting up around the same time, and you know, meeting on Twitter and like, oh my God, you got Jeff Canada on your show and like everything, and now like yeah, he's on Dimension 20. I'm just like, I know that guy.
Oh, really? Is that guy? That's the thing. I like him so much. Every time I see him, I'm like, be cool. Because I don't want him to think that I'm there being like, hey, man.
Right? He's got this...
coattails I can ride? That's not what I'm here to do. Like, he's earned every bit of that success.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good for him, but I'm not here to, like, glom onto him, you know? I just like him.
Yeah, no, when I had him on my podcast way back, like the first time we met on video, like he's just got this air of like, like he knows what he's doing. He's got a plan and he's executing it, and he's doing a good job.
Yes.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I don't know if
Oh
he ever
man.
sleeps.
Seriously.
That is one busy man.
Yeah, like I've actually said this where people tell me I'm busy. I'm like, you should look at Jasper.
Yeah. 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 It's wild.
Well, Johnny, you also have a YouTube channel that you talked about at the beginning that you've been doing games on for a
Yeah.
while. What are some things you've been playing recently?
So I kind of every time I stream, I like to play something different, sort of like a variety stream type deal. My audience really likes it when I sort of play puzzle games. So yesterday I played Skim, which is the Dutch word for like shadow, I think.
Oh.
You are like it's a lovely, beautifully rendered world, but you're a little frog who lives in shadows and you hop between them. And you get separated from your person and you're trying to catch up with him. And it's like just this really gentle puzzle platformer,
Mm-hmm.
which I loved. But then what else have we done lately? Uh I played through I try and play a different game every stream, but sometimes one just gets its hooks into me. I
Oh
started
yeah.
played Return of the Obra Dinn, and I was like,
Oh.
well, I'm not gonna stop playing this. So then I streamed it twice more and finished the whole thing. And it was great, but I did kind of, as happens when you're really trying to 100% Return of the Obra Dinn, I lost my marbles briefly.
Oh,
Um,
this is a game that I have kind of set to play in October. My friend Erin M. Evans she's like, this is one of my favorite games of all time. I want you to play this, and we might stream it and stuff like that. And so like I have been like I've only heard like the legends of how good this game is.
oh,
I'm so
for you.
excited.
I wish I could wipe it from my brain so I could play it for the first time again.
Really?
You're in for such a treat. It's genuinely one of my, I'm going to say like top five, maybe top three games of all time.
Wow.
It is
And you
great.
just played it for the first time recently.
Well, I had played it briefly for like 40 minutes, I think, when I was back on Eurogamer because we had a
Oh,
show
okay,
called Late to
okay.
the Party where somebody would be like, "Why haven't you specifically played this game?" But then I never kept up with it, so I started it again and just. I mean, I won't say anything
Yeah,
that happened because I
it's
wanted
fair.
to go in completely fresh. But yeah, it got weird. Just
I
kind of
love
the
weird.
kind of the logic loopholes I was jumping through. People were like, "You okay?" Um, but
You got your like red web of notes. You're like, yeah, I'm fine.
yeah, oh, I love a good notebook game. So like
Oh,
Crow County or Crow Country, I forget which one it is.
oh yeah, Crow. I think it's Crow County. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Like I was writing things down all the way through that. The Tartarus Key as well was
Ooh,
lovely. It's kind of like PS1 era graphics, but it's kind of almost like
oh,
escape
I love
roomy
that.
type things. It's wild. So
What
like
was that
I
one? The Tartarus Key.
the Tartarus Key.
I'm taking game recommendations now.
Do it. But yeah, I just like playing slightly weird things. The thing is, there's no point if a big AAA game comes out, even if I'm playing it, there's no point me streaming it because I'm competing with people who are, 100
Oh
times
yeah,
the size of my
I
own
get that.
channel. And like I remember when Elden Ring came out, I said like, hey, I am playing Elden Ring, but I'm not going to stream it just because I feel like
Yeah.
everyone's at it and I can't compete. And so many people were like, thank you. It's all the way we're being served right now. So I kind of it sounds like I'm trying to be like the cool kid,
No,
like,
no, like
but
legitimately, like, Shadow of the Earth Tree came out, and that was I just happened to be taking vacation that week,
very
and I
nice.
didn't even realize that lined up, and so like that was all I was taking in for that weekend, and I'd get into bed and I put on YouTube and I'm like, Jacksepticeye's playing it, Gab's playing it, they're playing it, they're playing, and I'm like, I don't want to see. I've
Yeah,
seen it all day. I don't want to see
yeah.
it anymore.
You want to unwind with something a little different. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I try and provide stuff that, for better or worse, you won't see elsewhere.
But
It's
I mean, I do think that is really good because, like, one from, like, a marketing standpoint, that's great because you're, in the sections that, don't have as many people, but the same time, like, you do have a a good following, and so you're showing off these things that folks may not know about because all these
Yeah.
AAA games are taking over their feeds and everything like that.
Yeah, like it's nice to have people be like, "Oh, I picked this up and I love it." It's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, great."
yeah.
That's really really good fun. There was one time we did like Frog Detective.
Oh,
Um
okay.
and for reasons unknown even to myself, I decided because I was reading out all the text, I decided to voice Frog Detective like Benoit Blanc in Knives Out.
Yes.
I was just doing like I felt like I got away with it because I was impersonating an English person impersonating an American. But it was like I wouldn't say the experience was improved by me being added as an extra step. I'm not as good of an actor as Daniel Craig. There, I said it.
Oh,
Um,
I won't believe it. I won't hear of it. That's fantastic. Yeah, no, I definitely gotta go check out more of your videos on that because yeah, I need things that aren't Shadow of the Erd Tree.
well, if you want him, I got him.
Yeah. Well, Joe, we got to start wrapping things up because we got another show coming up after this.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for taking time today to talk with me.
Oh, always a pleasure. Thank you so, so much. It's been lovely.
If people want to find you and what you do on the interwebs, where could they do so?
YouTube.com/Johnny Chiodini. It's quite a unique surname, to be honest. So if you just Google Johnny Chiodini, I'll pop up. So,
That's fair. There
yeah.
you go. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Idle Insight. So until next week, take care of yourself.
Bye.